Welcome to Path to Awakening. Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm your host. I am also an empath, a Reiki energy healer, and one of the chosen. If you're watching this right now, you are probably thinking to yourself, okay, Path to Awakening, exactly what am I waking up from? Well, there's been a lot happening. There's been a lot going on in this world right now. And particularly, a lot of people are waking up and acknowledging their spiritual gifts. Some may have known that they were a little different. Some have absolutely no idea, but they just knew that there was just something different about themselves that, the phone would ring and they'd automatically know who was on the other line, who was on the end of the line, that kind of thing. It's just having that little gut twinge, that little intuition of just knowing. That knowing is a spiritual gift. And that gift comes from Source, Universe, God, whomever you call him. That's where that comes from. We all have that. And what's happening is right now we are all awakening to that. It started when the pandemic hit. And there was this great divide between us and them. Us being those, we're just nature loving, quiet, just wanting to be outside and just loving that silence and that peace and that calmness. Then we saw the other side, and those other people went crazy. I don't know if you were around them at that time, and you would see people just going nuts. They would walk into a store and they'd start yelling at the clerk, or they would cut in front of you, and you could just see the difference between them and us. And I remember too, as a child, when I was growing up, I just always thought everybody was like me. I thought everybody felt what I felt. I remember one time actually, this was when I was a little bit older, but I remember I was standing with my mom in a line in a bank, and there were these two people in front of me, and they were rather close to me. And I just started feeling they were talking about something. I can't remember what they were talking about exactly, but I just remember feeling what was going on within their conversation, feeling their emotion. And it was actually too much for me. It was almost like this feeling of like anxiety. And so I literally had to kind of just back off and just step away and just realize that, okay, what's going on here? Like try to figure out what the heck is this? What's going on with me? Because for a long time, I thought there was something wrong with me. I would have anxiety. And that's another thing that a lot of people mistake what we are and what we have for. I thought I was suffering from anxiety as well from, like I said, a very young age. I remember in my teens just being on the couch in so much pain and not wanting to talk to anybody and not wanting to be around people. And a lot of that had to do too with the fact was I was absorbing so much from others, but not realizing what was happening and just storing all of that stuff inside of myself, inside of my body, and not getting rid of it. And we will talk about that much later because there's so much to cover in this subject. But yeah, there are so many things that maybe you can relate to. I just remember, the funny things are watching a commercial, for example, especially at Christmas time, and just watching these commercials where it's all about family and love and the brother has been off to war and he now comes home and the mother opens the door and she sees him and she's crying and I'm literally sitting there like sobbing like a baby, like it's my son. But just feeling that emotion, and that's when you know they're a good actor too, but just feeling that emotion. And that's what we are. We are feelers. We feel. When somebody else says, I feel sorry for you, they just say, yeah, I feel sorry for you. They'll pat you on the back. They'll walk away. When we feel sorry for you, we literally feel sorry for you. We feel every little emotion that is happening and what's going on inside your body as if it was in our bodies. And it can be overwhelming. It's confusing, especially if you don't know what it is. I just remember, yeah, just not sure of what was happening with me, what was going on. And the funny thing is, too, is that I didn't even know, but my mom was an empath just like I was, but she never said anything to me. I didn't know. She didn't. I don't know if she knew, to be quite honest. But I remember when I was a young child, she used to take me to these metaphysical stores. Back then, they called them occult stores. But she would take me there, and we would buy crystals, and we would purchase books. And she would say, "Well, what is it that you like? Pick something out. Pick it out." And I would just go through the store and just kind of wander through. And I was reading the most incredible books when I was younger. It was just some of these books, I didn't even know why I picked some of them up, but I just enjoyed reading them because they just made sense to me. And that was another thing too. It was being around friends. And I use the word very loosely, friends, because a lot of us, we don't have a lot of friends. We kind of keep to ourselves because a lot of people just don't get us. A lot of people don't understand what it is that we are going through or what we are experiencing. And the thing is too, we stay very silent too. We don't talk about it. We keep to ourselves. And so books are our friends. Being alone is our comfort. We love being without people around us because, again, like I said, it's too much for us to absorb within ourselves and within our bodies. So yeah, I spent a lot of time just being by myself, being in my room, reading books, and just learning and just figuring out who I was. And I knew I was searching, even from a young age. I always knew I was searching for something, and I just didn't know what it was. And I changed careers. I was in film and television for the longest time. I started off in theater, just made all these different changes. And now looking back on it, I realized that Source, Spirit, God was preparing me for this moment right now. Because had I remained that introverted, shy little girl, I would not be able to stand here, sit here, and speak to you the way I am. It was one of those things where you just never know where Source is going to lead you, where Spirit is going to lead you, but you just follow. And now, I mean, I just came to this realization only a few days ago that that's the reason why I followed the path that I did. And every time I changed my career, I was ascending because I was changing. I'm not the same person that I was 10, 15 years ago. I am totally different. And that's what is happening for you now. You're starting to wake up and you're realizing that the situation that you're finding yourself in, okay, your love relationship, your relationships with your friends, suddenly everything seems different. You're looking at people like, I have nothing in common with these people. You even sometimes look at your own families and you think to yourself, well, I have nothing either. I have nothing in common with these people either. And know too that there's a reason that's happening for you as well. See, we were placed in these situations. We weren't randomly, we didn't choose our families. Our families were chosen for us so that we could learn the lessons that we need to learn to get to where we are right now. I'll tell you, I didn't have the best childhood. I'm going to be quite honest with you. My father was very narcissistic, very controlling. And my mom, like I said, was like me, but she never had a voice. She never used her voice. She was, I believe, it's a generational thing too. I believe that too happened to my grandmother, and that happened to her mother, and so on and so on. And right now, for me, this is the most exciting time of my life because I have broken a generational curse. And the reason I know that is because my life has completely changed. Why? Because I took back my power and I took back control of me and my life. And that's what being an empath is all about. You see, we are very We're caring, we're nurturing, we're kind, we're loving, which is awesome. But there are a lot of people out there that aren't. And when we go out into the world and we think everybody is like us, and then we get a rude awakening. And so I just feel that sharing some of my stories, some of you can relate to some of the things as well that I'm going through, that I went through to get to where I am right now. And a lot of that had to do with calling back my power and not giving my power away to anyone, anyone, anyone. Okay. And it takes time, it takes work, it takes healing, which is why Source gave me the inspiration, gave me the guidance to become a Reiki energy healer. When I started doing Reiki, and I just thought I was just going to start a practice because, again, I was called to do that. I had no idea what Reiki was when I first started energy healing. And everything just kind of fell into place. I was looking for a place to study it. And so I went online, I Googled something, and there was a woman who was starting a level 1 Reiki energy healing course that lived 5 minutes away from me. And the course was starting the following week. And she had one spot left. And that's when, okay, let me do this. And I did it. And as soon as I sat down, I knew this is where I'm supposed to be. And from that moment on, my life changed completely. Completely. I started my healing. And by healing, what I mean is that we're acknowledging those things, those traumas and those hurts that we've had within us, that have happened to us. And when we bring them to the surface and we acknowledge them, we are then able to just move forward from that, and we forgive. The forgiveness part is the hardest part. It is the hardest part. But it's not about condoning what it is that you feel someone has done to you. It's not about that, or the people in your life that have hurt you, the family members, the friends, the relationships. It's not about forgiving them so that they can just go on their merry way. It's not about them. It's about you forgiving yourself and knowing that it's part of your pathway to awakening. It's part of your path to learning about who you are and taking and calling back in your power and not giving control of your life to others, because that's what we do. We give our life to others. Because we are these caring, nurturing people, and we don't want people to feel sad. We don't want people to feel angry. We don't want people to hurt. We would rather hurt than have someone else hurt. That's how much we care about humanity and others. But other people don't think that way. So what happens is we end up shouldering all that hurt because they all come at us because they can see it. They can target us. They know who we are. It's almost like they too have this intuitive sense, because like I said, everybody has a spiritual gift. Those of us who honor it and we listen to that inner guidance, we listen to soul source, we listen to guidance, universe, it develops stronger and stronger. Then there are those who, even though they have the gift, they can be karmic as well, unfortunately. Why? Because they can see it as a way of using people and manipulating others. And I have come across quite a few. In fact, my own Reiki masters, people who taught me, no longer speak to me. They don't want me around because they see that I work with the light. And there are those people that work with the dark. And they may come to you and say, oh, I'm a healer, I'm a this and I'm a that. But the thing is that we see through them. And when they can see that we see, it scares them. And they don't want that. They don't want that. So they have to figure out a way that they can shut us down. But they can't, because we have the biggest cheerleader behind us. We have our spirit guides. We have our ancestors. We have God, we have universe, we have source, whatever you want to call it. That is our protection, because we work with the light. And those people that work with the dark, you know what? There's nothing they can do to us. They can try, but we have that knowing. We are seekers of the truth. We are seekers. We want this world to wake up. We want the people to live the best lives possible. And we want to live our best lives as possible. We want to be happy. We want to live the best life that we can live as well. And that's what this is all about. It's all about putting the human back in humanity. It's about us loving on each other, not trying to steal, not trying to hurt one another, not trying to control and manipulate each other, because we all have free will. And why should one person be able to control what you do? No, it doesn't work that way. And what happens too is, like I said, when we start speaking up, they get scared. I remember I confronted a relationship that I was in for the longest time, but I knew that the change was happening for me. I knew what it was. And so I started speaking up. And I remember the first time I said no, I remember I heard him, this little gasp. He could not believe I had said no. And when I heard that, I went, okay. I saw behind the mask. I saw the veil, because a lot of these people, a lot of it is insecurity. A lot of it is just they cannot manipulate other people like themselves, but they can manipulate people who they feel are weaker than they are. And they consider us weak, but we're not. We aren't weak. We are so incredibly powerful. Why? Because we see behind the mask. We see behind the veil. We see what they are trying to hide from us, and they don't like it, and it shakes them to their core. But you can't shut us down. And what happens is they are now afraid. They're afraid because they're thinking, okay, well, all that power that we thought they had, it's an illusion. It's an illusion that keeps us in our place. And that's what's happening right now. A lot of us are waking up and realizing who we and what we are, and we are taking that power. But we are not using that power for evil. We are using that power for good. And yes, it's scary, because when you first start speaking up, I remember, like I said, the first time I did it, I remember like I was sweating and my heart was pounding, but I knew I had to do this. I knew I had to speak up for myself. And I remember even doing it as a child with my father. And my father I used to get labeled as being argumentative. I used to get labeled as being, she's difficult. But it wasn't. Even as a young child, I knew that the things that were going on and the things that my father was saying weren't true. It was just, and so I questioned. And that's another thing that we do. We question. We ask questions. We are so creative. When someone tells us to do something, we just don't blindly follow, because we are not followers. We are leaders. We don't blindly follow. We ask why. And usually we'll get the response, well, because I said so. Yeah. That doesn't make any, what, because you said so? No, why? Give me a plausible reason as to why. And they can't. And even as a young child, that's when I realized my power a little bit, but it took me a long time, because as you know, in our culture, we are meant to be, but it doesn't mean that we can't use our voices. And it doesn't mean that we're coming after people. No, it just means that we are owning who we are. We're owning our power. We're speaking up for ourselves. We are truth seekers. We are leaders. We are people of, we are light workers. We are everywhere. We are everywhere. We can walk into a room and immediately know who, we can walk into a room and immediately know who we can talk to, who gets us, who we can trust. And that's what a lot of these karmic toxic people just can't deal with, because we see through that illusion that they want us to see. And it's not even only with people. A lot of it has to do too with the way this world is right now. I mean, you can't, pop culture, I mean, everybody's now getting called out. It's like everybody is now seeing behind those carefully cultivated masks and images that they want us to see are starting to crumble. People are now starting to see behind this image that these people want to create, that they want us to see that, oh, that person's so lovely and this person's so philanthropic and they're so this and they're so that. And actually, now the truth is coming out and they can no longer hide. And it's a wonderful thing to see now, because now these people are getting called out, and all that destruction and toxicity and all the things that they have done. What happens too is, like I said, it's karmic. What you put out will eventually come back to you. And all those people that have hurt us and have hurt me generally, and just me personally, I let them go. I forgive them. It's taken work, but I forgive them. And then I walk away. And I don't believe in wishing something bad on anyone, because Source will take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. You forgive them and you walk away so that you can heal that situation, so that you can move forward. And I mean, if I could tell you some of the stuff that's happened to me within the last few weeks or so, you would think it was a movie. But again, like I said, it took me a while to kind of just sit with that and say, okay, this is not who I am, and I'm not going to sit in the past. I'm now going to acknowledge what happened, and I'm going to take that, learn from that, and move forward. And every time you do that is when you start to ascend. You start moving to another level, and you're starting to awaken that side of you. And it's healing. You're healing yourself. You are healing your traumas, and you're not holding on to grudges, because a lot of us are victims. Or some people like to play the victim, and a lot of us, yeah, we were victims, but it doesn't mean that that has to be our narrative moving forward. All right? It doesn't mean that we have to perpetually be victims. No, it's our story, it's our history, but we don't have to take that with us as we move forward. We can use that to grow and to learn from, and to have that happen to us, and know, okay, this happened, I got that, I learned from it, now I'm going to move forward. I'm not going to sit and dwell on this anymore. So yeah, everybody's on a different part of this path. Some of us are like on the summit. Some of us are still at the bottom of the path, but it doesn't matter where you are. The fact that you are now acknowledging this spirituality, this gift, the source, universe, God, and this special, unique person that is you, the fact that you are now open and ready to speak your truth and not be afraid. Yeah, people will come after you. I've been called crazy. I know people think, okay, this girl is a whack job. But unless you are us, you know that a lot of the things that have happened to you were real. A lot of the things that have happened to me are real. And if I didn't see it with my own eyes, and if I didn't experience it with my own eyes, I never, ever would have thought. But it just made me realize too that yes, everything that we see right now is just the illusion. And we are now able to see behind the veil, behind that illusion. And what's happening is, yeah, a lot of people don't want that. A lot of people are scared, because now, like I said, look what's happening. Pop culture, people are falling left, right, and center. And they don't want that. So again, it's just about honoring who you are, not being afraid. Don't be afraid. Honor your gift, honor your spiritual gift. Be authentic, be you. And if people don't get it, that's okay. You do you. All right? If people don't get it, that's all right. It's not about them getting it. It's about you. This whole journey is about you. And that's all I have to say on that subject. I just want to do a little Reiki energy healing, just a short one. All right. So now what we're going to do, now, if you see me moving a little bit, if you are watching, and actually I'm just picking up somebody's emotional stuff at the moment as well, because my eye will start to water and tear. And if you see me moving a little bit, please just bear with me, because what's happening too is source energy enters my body. And I don't know, maybe some of you get this as well, but for me, I will see it as a clear funnel cloud. And what it does is it moves my body in a circle. And so this is just the energy that I'm feeling right now. But what I'd like you to do is just please close your eyes. And if you are sitting in a chair or if you are laying down, just feel the earth beneath the ground beneath your body. And if you're sitting in the chair, both feet flat on the floor. And if you can, put your palms on your lap. And you're going to close your eyes. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to hold my hands up towards the screen. And what you're going to do is I just want you to take a deep breath in through the nose, and then breathe out through your mouth. Perfect. Now, what you're going to do is I just want you to visualize the top of your head. Okay? And I want you to think of it as just a lid opening, like a can, just with a hinge, just opening up. And what you're doing is you're opening up to Source, the universe, to God. And I'd like you to visualize a white light from Source, from the energy of Source, coming down through the top of the head and into your third eye. Now, the third eye is that spot right between your eyebrows. We call that the third eye. And you're just going to feel that white light moving through. And then I want you to visualize that white light now lowering, going further towards the jaw now. It's going towards the jaw. And as your eyes are closed, you see the white light, and it's filling your entire head. Now, just take it down a little further. I want you to take it to the throat area, and we call that the throat chakra. And you just feel that energy. Feel that energy. And some of you may feel a little heat. Some of you may start feeling the energy by moving it the way I'm moving, but everybody is different. So whatever you feel, allow yourself to feel. And if you feel nothing at all, that's good as well. Okay? Now what you're going to do is I want you to bring that energy back up to the jaw area. And then you're going to bring it up to the third eye, that spot between your eyebrows. And now bring the energy to the top of the head. We call that the crown chakra, the crown energy center. Bring it up. And now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to visualize the light getting smaller and smaller until it gets to like a pinpoint. And now it's starting to close off. And as it closes off, you're just going to close that crown chakra, close that lid. And now what I'd like you to do is just visualize roots growing from the soles of your feet down into the ground and anchoring your body down into the ground. Mother Earth. So that we can ground that energy, so that we're not all just up in our head. Okay? And release. And when you're ready, I'd like you to just take another deep breath in. And breathe out. And you're going to show gratitude. So thank universe, God, Spirit, Source, your guides. And when you're ready, you're just going to open your eyes and come back. And that's it. And if you have the opportunity to, drink some water just so that you can keep that energy moving throughout the body. Okay, just have a nice sip of water. Thank you so much for watching this first episode of Path to Awakening. And I hope to see you again. Cheers, everyone.
The embassy, it's in our DNA.